only your shoe. When I was going to work, a car was passing and it splashed water all over like my head to my toe. Don't always try to one up people in conversations. You can win anybody to your side from how you have a conversation. Knowing when to say what and how is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself and to the people around you. When it comes down to it, being emotionally intelligent is understanding your feelings and being sensitive to the feelings of those around you. This greatly improves your self-awareness. There's been a lot of research that has shown that human beings at their core are emotional. They are feeling beings that think, which means that yes, we have a logical part. Yes, we have the thinking faculties, but at the end of the day, we feel deeply and it impacts how we relate with others. Okay, and that's why you would remember someone that treated you badly or like an issue you had with your parents from years ago. You have feelings. You are looking at me in the screen and you might be one of those hard boys, hard girls that try to mask their feelings or the different things, but you know deep down that you have feelings. Okay, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with having feelings. The important thing is understanding those feelings and knowing how to relate with others, knowing how to relate with ourselves, most importantly, and then knowing how to relate with others. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 phrases that you shouldn't be using as an emotionally intelligent person. And I don't want this to be a long video because I feel like we would keep having conversations like this, but it's definitely something that you want to keep in mind. And the third one is really, really important. So watch this video till the end. Hey guys, so for those that are new here, I am Susan and I'm a YouTuber and software engineer based in Canada. On this channel, I share topics around personal development like navigating adulthood, overcoming insecurities, and godly growth. Other times, I also share my experiences and insights in building a career in technology. One of the things that people say, and you don't want to be saying as an emotionally intelligent person, is now, people say this when they probably are having a conversation or discussion with a friend or whatever, family, and then they don't agree with what they're saying, okay? And maybe they just want to like opt out of the conversation, or they don't want to engage further, or they are never going to agree. As an emotionally intelligent person, saying something like this is condescending and dismissive. And if you're having a constructive conversation, you don't necessarily always have to agree with the person. It's okay to have different opinions. Everything is not fight, basically. This person can have their own opinion, you can have your opinion, and it's going to be fine. Now, you can get them to see your point of view from the conversation. Like, you can get anybody, you can win anybody to your side from how you have a conversation. If you're going into a conversation with, I don't care what they think, they must share my point of view, it's going to be very hard to win the person over to your side. And of course, this is not about winning someone over to your side or not. This is just about the fact that you can have a constructive conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to agree with the person or the person has to agree with you. It just means that you can share different opinions and still have a conversation. Okay, so people say this usually when they maybe they don't like how heated the conversation is going, or they somehow want to make the person think what they are thinking, or try to, I don't know. I think it's just not intelligent to use that phrase. There's some other things you want to say instead. Now, I think there are 2 things, depending on the situation. There are 2 types of things that you want to say. So in a situation where maybe you have been going back and forth with this person, and obviously the person is not saying your point of view, or the person is not ready to see your point of view, or you are, seeing the person's point of view, but you don't agree, okay, and you want to end the conversation. You can say something along the lines of, I understand why you think that way. I might not agree, but I understand why you think that way. Or I get you. Or I see where you're coming from. So these are some examples of things that you can say. It could diffuse tension if there's tension, but also you're keeping things positive. Because there's a disagreement does not mean things have to end on a negative note. Now, please don't get me wrong. I know that people have disagreements all the time, right? And you don't have to be in a situation where you have a disagreement with someone and you're like, oh, I see your point of view, when you're angry with what the person is saying. Okay, there are situations like that where you're upset with what someone is saying and you might feel the need to show your emotions, okay? Like that should not be the norm. We are in a world where we're always having communication, where we're always talking to people, where we're always, having conversations. So people are different. Not everybody will think like you. Not everybody will be like you. People have like their different thoughts and opinions. Okay, you don't have to use that phrase. Now, the second situation is if you still want to engage in a dialogue with the person. Maybe you're trying to get the person to see your point of view, or you're trying to make a decision, which happens often. Two people have to make a decision, but they share different points of view. You can say something along the lines of, let's try to understand each other's perspective and find common ground. Or you can even bring up the fact that you agree with them on one particular thing. Because in a lot of cases, and this happens to almost all of us, someone is saying A, B, C, D. You agree with B, but because the person is the one that said A, B, C, and D, you just outrightly agree with them instead of bringing up the fact that you agree with B. And B could be a common ground that you guys could use to make a decision, right? So this happens always. And also, it's also a tactic of bringing someone over to even understand your point of view, because a lot of times people do not try to understand your point of view when you don't agree with anything they're saying, even if it makes logical sense. Because it's now obvious that you're not being objective. If you're having a conversation with someone, you disagree with some parts, you agree with some parts, let them know the parts you agree with, okay? If there are parts you don't agree with, it's fine. It doesn't have to be a fight, right? You can either end the conversation by letting them know that you respect their perspective, or you continue the conversation by finding a common ground and moving on. The second one is, and I think that people use this a lot, is, wow, this same thing happened to me. People use this a lot when maybe someone shares a terrible situation that they went through. Okay, like, oh, I was going to work and a car that was passing just splashed water and it spilled all over my shoe. And maybe the other person is like, only your shoe. When I was going to work, a car was passing and it splashed water all over like my head to my toe. Sometimes people just want to one up a conversation. Now, I think if as an emotionally intelligent person, you should try to let people have their moments or try to read the room. One of the main things about being emotionally intelligent is reading the room. There are situations where you can one up. Let's be frank, except we are just trying to deceive ourselves here. Sometimes when you're really into the gist and if somebody says something, I remember something that is probably worse than what the person experienced, you're like, it's true. Like, okay, I remember there was a time that I bought hair on Instagram, right? I think I bought the hair like 8K then or something. Like, I actually bought the hair. It looked nice. Next thing, as I paid money into the lady's account, she blocked me. And up till today, I have not gotten the money or the hair back. Now, if I was to share that situation with someone now, and the person is like, only 8K, just 8K. The other time, when I bought hair from Instagram, went 800K, and I did not get the money back. This. I mean, when I hear 800K, please, what do you expect me to do? I just keep quiet because 800K to 8K, like, Susan, please, just move on. Okay, so yeah, like that's a typical situation. Okay, there are times where the gist is interesting and it's okay to bring up a situation that you've had that is probably worse or even not even as bad as that situation. But there are also times where if the person is coming to you maybe for advice or for help, that is not the time to make it about you. Well, that's not the time to bring up like something that has happened to you that is similar to that. That's the time to be there for them. That's the time to maybe encourage them. That's the time to like help them out. So just be a listening ear. They might not even need you to advise them. They might just need you to be there for them. So please keep this in mind. Don't always try to one up people in conversations. If they need you to just be there or just listen, just be there and just listen. Okay? Now the third one is what is really the topic of this or the title of this video, I believe. That's if I didn't change it eventually. But it's like, I have to be blunt, but the truth is bitter. And people say this a lot when they are like trying to be candid. but they do not, sometimes they don't want to be nice about it. And sometimes it's actually coming from a good place. Some people don't want to be nice about it so that they don't water down the message. For example, it might not be like okay, this is just an example. Maybe someone comes to you and it's like, I need to be blunt, but truth is bitter. You want to smell it, and you're like, this person is not even, like, normally, you know how people do it in those days. You buy mouthwash, you buy toothpaste on their birthday, and you share it with them. You don't need to say a word, and sometimes they still might not get the message, but you've tried your best, okay? So maybe sometime you find a more creative way to communicate that. But the point is that, like, you don't always have to be brash or rude or insensitive to people's feelings just because you're sharing the truth or just because you're trying to make them see something, okay? They are, as a queen that you are, if you're a queen listening to this, or if you're a king listening to this, because I believe I speak to kings and queens, you can be very tactical about how you say something, okay? I feel that this is very common with friendships, like friendships among girls, because girls are more likely to be more genuine. I don't think that guys are genuine with themselves. Like, I feel like guys don't try to step on their egos, and so they are more playful when it comes to saying the truth. So they can say something, maybe they want to tell their friend something, and they will just like say it in passing, or they will not really dwell on it and be so serious about it. But girls will be like, I think we need to talk. And that talk means something, okay? So basically, like, I think that girls are more upfront and want to tell you how it is. They're good, like, they're absolutely good girl friendships. And I think that friendships with girls are like one of the most amazing things, okay? But I also think that in sharing your thoughts and in sharing your opinions, you want to do it with tact. You want to know the best ways to say it. It's not necessarily stepping on eggshells, because some people are probably also saying it that way, that why do I have to be beating about the bush to tell my friend what I want to tell them? They are my friend. I don't need to. No, that's not what I'm saying, okay? You don't need to beat about the bush, but at the same time, you don't need to be brash. You don't need to hurt someone's feelings because of what you're sharing. Now, I also understand that some people don't know how to tell you something that is wrong. If you find yourself in a situation where you're the friend that is not really talking to your friend, and you know that they're doing something that's wrong, then you probably need to look inwards as well. Because if you mean well for your friend, and if you want to see them do well, if you probably think that they're headed in the wrong direction, you should talk to them about it, right? And if they don't take it, or maybe they begin to act somehow towards you because of that, I feel like that says more about them than you. So that's that. But in every other case besides all this, because I feel like I've mentioned a lot of edge cases and I'm just making excuses for you guys, but to know what I'm talking about, okay? So like in every other case, like, you should absolutely make sure that you're doing things with tact. I'm a Christian. I believe in self-control. I believe in kindness. There are things that should be said, you should be candid about, but you don't necessarily need to be candid with harshness. I believe in speaking the truth with love and correcting with love. So please keep this in mind, and I hope that this helps you in dealing with people in your life, around you, your family, your friends. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you're new here, please subscribe. My name is Susan, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Knowing what to say what. I mean, there's a lot